Good morning, Patriots. Welcome
Ben.
back, Michael. It's been forever.
It has been a while. It's been too long. Good to see you, my friend.
It's great seeing you. How are you?
You don't have time. You asked me that question. I could go for 4 hours.
Well,
Good. I'm good.
you
I'm
know,
good.
it's great seeing you. Oh, real quick, let me get this logo changed here. There we go. All right, Patriots. We'll give everyone a second to come on in. So Constitution vet, Michael, Sweet Home Maricopa. Great seeing you again. Uh, Today's show will focus on something that all of us deal with every single day, and that is the news. Now,
Yeah.
that can bring excitement to some and fear and terror to others. But our focus today is learning how to find truth in the sea of news.
Right. With all the
So,
voices, how do you discern?
yeah, all the voices, all the perspectives, and then we're going to transition to the real truth. So awesome. We got a lot of people coming in. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, good morning, good morning. All right.
That's the crew. The crew's piling in.
Fantastic. Fantastic. So yeah, the news. Okay. In your perspective, what does it feel like to just wake up every morning, get your coffee, and see the news? Are you excited? Are you like kind of scared? Like, how you feel?
I here. That's good. I gotta put this up. Right. Better off not watching it. Here. This is a scary jumper. Just watched
Right.
yeah. I actually there's a study. There's a study. Trust me. Right now, I'm reliable. I'm fairly reliable. There's a study that's been done. I couldn't tell you where it is or when it was done, but that study essentially determined that uh, liberals and conservatives have different consumption habits. Right, their news consumption habits, and liberals, leftist technically, tend to like 90% only seek out sources that they agree with, right? So like 90% of their consumption is just one side of a story and the side that they agree with. Whereas conservatives, it's like 60%, it's like 60-40, right? 60% of what we consume is what we agree with, and 40% is what's the nonsense that the other side is consuming. And so by definition, that's literally by definition the leftists are ignorant, right? They're literally cutting out half of the information. So conservatives are just more informed. And so when you ask how do I feel when I read the news, like, yeah, I'll read what's going on, but I'm pretty encouraged, right, that more and more people are reading the rights, even though we're reporting on horrible things, or at least being informed about the horrible things. And that's how you heal something. That's how, like, the roaches flee when the light is turned on, right? So there is no monopoly on the news, thank God. And so when I read the news, it's that mixed bag. I'm encouraged that things are going in the right direction in general.
Right.
It's a long,
Well,
long
so
answer.
for my job, I'm not sure if you've been updated. So my job, I'm a full-time writer for a newsletter based out of Colorado. And
Congratulations. It's huge.
thank you. Thank you. I've been working for this since December 19th, and my writing skills have improved dramatically. Um, Basically, every day I wake up, get my coffee, I look for news around Texas, and I write about news in Texas. Like, that's my focus. And so, one thing I've discovered though is as I'm trying to find stories, it's very easy to get discouraged. It's easy to get anxious and filled with fear. But within the past 6 to 8 months, my relationship with Christ, my faith has gotten so much stronger. A big factor of that is because I was unemployed for so long. if I was doing this job a year ago, I would be super stressed and anxious. But now I'm at peace because at the end of the day, there's the world's truth, but then there's the truth. Right. So that's our goal for today in this episode. I'm going to show y'all some practical skills on how to navigate
Nice.
the earthly news. Right. And then we'll transition to scripture and how to find peace and in this sea of headlines. Okay. So I'm going to start today. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'm going to show you how it may feel sometimes to float in that ocean of news. You ready?
Should warn everybody. You have motion sickness. Look away. I can't imagine being on that ship. We don't have audio playing nothing.
The audio
lost
was
you.
Hoist the Colors.
Pardon?
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes. What'd you
Testing
say?
1, 2. All right. I was just saying the audio from that video was Hoist the Colors from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Got it. Could you hear it on your end when you were playing it?
I could, yeah. But all that really mattered was just everyone seeing it.
Yeah.
So that ocean is from the North Sea, and that's regarded as one of the most dangerous, seas to work in. But that's how it can feel sometimes to navigate the news.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So what I use every day, starting this whole practical skills portion of this, there's a website called News Now. So every day, the cool thing about this website is you can look at this, and News Now gives you a constant up-to-date ticker of news that's happening. For me, I use Texas because this is where I get most of my stories from. The nice thing about this is this website shows you all perspectives, right? Not just one. Now you can set this to your liking. You can show the whole nation. You can focus on a
Right.
certain state.
Got it. Is there a... Oh, there is a world. I see the world tab up there. Yeah. Good.
Yeah, you can focus on different topics. But yeah, every morning when I do my job, I just scroll through this and find stories that are big, right? So yeah, Patriots.
So it's
aggregating.
It's an aggregating site.
Yes, this is really
That's
good
good.
because this will help you find a one place to start sifting through the news. Okay.
It's
now again,
like
everything.
like Real Clear Politics, right? You ever go to Real Clear
In a
Politics?
way.
Are you familiar? Right?
Yeah.
So I mean, that just has a
Like-
few headlines. This looks way more comprehensive and exhaustive. But Real Clear Politics,
Right.
they'll pick like 10 stories in the morning every day, and then in the afternoon another 10 stories. And they have they go through and decide what's most pertinent to their audience or whatever. But this is more exhaustive. This is good.
Right. And this updates like every 5 minutes, and it's
Wow.
constant. And there are topics here that you may not like. There are topics here that you may like. But that's the point. This one shows you everything from all sources in one thing. Okay. So again, it's called News Now.
What I also see here, sorry
Mhm.
to keep interrupting you, but what I
You're fine.
also see here, just at a cursory glance, is follow-ups to stories, right? That's the thing about news is you'll get a big headline, and it's just this is a story in process, or this is breaking news or whatever, and then it's like, wait, I'm totally interested in this, and I want to know what the resolution is and the outcome is, but how am I going to find that unless somebody decides suddenly to report on that and it pops up in my newsfeed? I see here just little updates on other stories.
Exactly.
More details. Yeah, that's good.
And you can also, this is the latest. You can go to the top stories. You can go to popular ones.
So this is a tool you use in your job
every day. This has helped me so much. And to be fair, it doesn't cover all stories in Texas, but it covers most of them. So whenever I'm writing my daily newsletter that seeks to cover every region of Texas, I can get a head start using this. And like I just mentioned, this gives you a constant update on what's going on. Okay. So next one I recommend is called Ground News. Now, Ground News was actually recommended to me by one of my veteran buddies I was with. Ground News is interesting because this covers like major news, okay? But it shows you how people are covering it. For example, the moment when Fannie Willis kind of lost her crap on Stan, right now, this is telling me that most sources covering this are 75% left. So it tells you right off the bat, hey, just so you
Oh,
know,
cool.
it's going to be a left-leaning type
Ah.
of stance, right? Now, if you
That's
scroll down,
what you. Let me just make sure I understood what you said. Most that little bar, that color
Mhm,
graph bar on the bottom says
mhm,
the average of the stories reporting on this, what what way that particular source leans.
exactly. So it's
Oh.
called the bias distribution. So
Oh.
ground news does the work for you. So it may not be as up to date or as constantly updating as News Now is, but this tells you, hey, just so you know, if you go into this topic, you're going to get more of this side or this side. Now, if we go back for a moment, if you scroll down, you see other stories, but you see
Mhm.
how the colors are changing now?
Yeah.
So, like, for example, if we go down here, this right here, this story is predominantly right. So
And
you're
so what this says is this story, the left is completely ignoring.
pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
So as you scroll down, it
Interesting.
also shows you the different sources that are covering this. And it
Mhm.
tells you this is high factuality, mixed factuality, leans right, leans left. So yeah, News Now and then Ground News. Both of those are sources that I uh,
Excellent.
highly recommend. And again, the whole point of this is to show y'all how to navigate the news.
Right?
Okay.
We've come such a long way from, the 3 big or 3 big network
Oh
news. Like,
gosh.
the
Yeah.
day when Walter Cronkite was the reliable source. I mean, back then, they were a lot more, even-handed. They were still biased to the left, but, there was more even-handedness. But now, there is no monopoly on the news. And it's a good thing,
Mhm.
right? And maybe way more
Right.
voices to sift through, but that's what you need, right?
Right.
And then you need aggregating sites like this, and oh, that's good. It's amazing.
And
Hmm.
before I
Hammer
started
Time is
working,
asking, where's this website?
oh, it's groundnews.com. So, yeah, just look up groundnews.com and then News Now. Both of those are the sources that I'm focusing on right now.
So groundnews.com and newsnow.com.
Actually, looks like it's ground.news. Sorry, ground.news is the
Ground
actual.
dot news. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
Ground dot news.
ground.news
And then the other one
and
is
then newsnow.com.
newsnow.com. All right, good.
So, yeah, um,
Excellent.
when it comes to like what I'm doing currently for my employment, I love it. It's great. But it's funny because before I started doing this job, the main place I would go to for news is, well, I'll admit, YouTube. There are some channels I follow, like yourself, and it's good. At the same token, you and I both know how YouTube is increasingly Marxist, and so the Soviets at YouTube have no problem forcing you down a certain path you don't want to go down. whether it be canceling people or changing your algorithms. So, or even worse, clickbait.
Mm-hmm.
Showing you an ocean of clickbait, which is even worse in my opinion. You see the image, you think, oh, okay, wow. You click on it and you're like, that's not at all what I thought I was going to see.
Yeah, and I mean, hopefully, I mean, certainly, I have um, developed a spidey sense, about
Mhm.
clickbait. And like when I see certain like phrasings of titles, and then also, there's other hints like this is a sponsored ad, or right, there's other
Mhm.
things you can tell. And so
Right.
I almost never fall victim to clickbait anymore. Like,
Mhm.
I will. I at times when I click on it, I know I'm clicking on clickbait. So if I
Right.
ever
Right.
do, I know I'm doing it ahead of time. So but not everybody has developed that skill set, that spidey sense, and a lot of people just
Right.
fall. For example, we did um, Friday Morning Fiasco with Doug and Q this
Mm.
morning, and that's only on Rumble right now. But maybe a time when we come, yeah, usually in all caps, when our Friday Morning Fiasco will be able to be on YouTube. But one of the things that I think it was Q was saying
Mm.
was, shoot, I lost my train of thought. I got distracted by that.
So you're on
Um,
cue, and you with Doug and
oh,
Exile.
yeah. So Q was talking about this subject, like he's launched a YouTube channel again. I
Mm.
forget the name of it, but I'll remember. But so Q is getting back. He's getting monetized, or he's trying to get money. He just qualified for monetization. So Q is coming back, and Doug is coaching him along. And Doug. There was a time when Doug was curled up in fetal position, right? Because his big explosive YouTube channels got deleted, like 3 or 4
Mhm.
of them. It just got deleted. Finally, he went through his down period, and finally YouTube let him back on, and now he's blowing up bigger than ever, and he's coaching
Mhm.
Q as like he's been trained now by YouTube what to say and what not to say, right? But
Mhm.
Q is saying in his comment section, now that he's posting again, people saying stuff like, for example, this comes from that uninformed bubble. People like saying like, you want a convicted felon as your president? You want an insurrectionist as your
Mm.
president? They're
Mhm.
like, we don't. Trump hasn't been convicted of anything.
Yeah.
Even his impeachments, that was an indictment and not a conviction, right? The Senate never convicted him, right? People are ignorant, right? They get these
Mhm.
sound bites and they think you want a convicted r- rape. I can't say the word, but that
Mhm.
because that judge ruled that whatever her name is, who accused Trump of that misconduct, because she was awarded money, people are translating that he's been convicted, and it's like people are so
No.
ignorant of the facts, right? They just
But
believe
and
whatever.
and you know what? And here's another thing too. On that note, the left consistently relies on emotions. That's all they have. Emotions. Whereas the other side typically relies on, no, what's the evidence? What's the facts? What's the details?
His name is
You
Quentin.
want this.
I'm just
Yeah.
mentioning to somebody in the comments, and this is
Yeah.
the actual correct spelling of it. I thought it was Quentin, but it's actually Quint. So Q is not QAnon. It's
Mm.
Quentin.
Yeah. So again, on going back to the main topic, when
Sorry.
it comes to navigating all this news, you can start picking out the left sources because they're always riddled with emotion, right? The thing is, when you get away from all that emotion, you start focusing on facts. It can be harder to find the right information, but at the same time, then you know the truth. So, on that note, let's transition. Let's go to the actual truth. Okay. So this morning,
This is
I did some
Quentin's
digging.
new channel, Truthful USA on YouTube. Go there.
Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
So let's transition now to the real truth. I did some digging and I found some Bible verses that can bring us back, help us pivot and refocus to what really matters. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real quick.
It's so good to see you, Ben.
It's great seeing you too.
Good
I know it's been forever. All right, can you all see that okay? Here,
Do you have the capacity to zoom on your computer?
how's that?
That's better. Yeah.
Okay. So, first off, we can start with this verse. It says, it's Proverbs 25:25. Like cold water to a weary soul, so is good news from distant land. Now, when you see that, you can automatically take the assumption of, oh, well, this is telling me that I have to read the news. I have to be informed of what's going on. To a point. Yes, you need to be informed. Yes, as Christians, we need to know what's going on. However, let's move on to the next one. Even though we need to be informed, we also need to follow the writings of Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so that you may prove what the will of God is, what is good and what is acceptable and perfect.
I need to comment on this. I need to
Go for
expound
it.
upon this right here. All right. It is very important. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, so you may prove what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect. And this, something that's happening right now in Christendom, in the church, and the Western church in particular, there's this division happening where there's one faction that is catering to wokeness, right? Saying, "Oh,
Mhm.
we need to be accepting and kind," right?
Uh-huh.
And we need to, do a deep dive, and maybe we are, we do harbor uh, unconscious bias, and we are, what is it? The institutional racism is our greatest sin, right? That's
Mhm.
there's a whole faction of the church that is pushing that narrative that what sin is that we need to repent of is institutional racism, right? And there are churches that are compromising the gospel, not just the racism side, but the transgender movement, etc. Do not be
Mhm.
conformed to this world, be transformed, right? Resist that gradual. That's how Satan infiltrates goodness, right? Like these fine sounding arguments. You need to stand firm. What is good and acceptable and perfect?
Beware of wolves in sheep's clothing.
Yep.
And
Clothing.
there's a deep place in hell for false prophets.
Hmm.
And that's, to me personally, one of the worst parts. It's like, especially if you have someone who's trying to learn more about Christianity, who's trying to find the right path to Christ, and they get deceived by all these false prophets, these churches who wave the pride flag. It's like, you've completely missed the mark. Worst of all, you're deceiving people. And it's like, when you see verses like this is the counter. Well, not really counter, but this is the supporting to what you just saw, the earlier verse. Yes, you need to know what's going on in the world, but don't conform to it though. Don't
Amen.
think
Right.
for 1 second it's okay, right? You need to be mindful,
Quick
but don't be
correction.
blind.
It's Truthville. Quentin's channel is Truthville USA.
But that's not it, folks. We got a couple more verses. Here's the next verse for y'all. The world will promise them freedom, while they themselves are slaves of corruption.
Mm.
For by what anyone is overcome, by this he is enslaved. 2 Peter 2:19. This is big because as we try to stay current in the news, as we try to navigate those rough seas of information, we have the risk of becoming addicted to the news. Every day, what do you see people doing?
Mm, yeah.
constantly, whether it's YouTube, Twitter, or X, Facebook, uh, Instagram, whatever it is. When you become slaves to information, you may think yourself as enlightened or, dare I say it, woke. But the truth of the matter is, you become a slave to the very thing you were trying to understand. So the whole point of this, Patriots, it's to encourage you, yes, look at the news, see what's going on, but be mindful. Learn that what you're seeing from the world is just that, of the world. Don't be conformed by it. And then don't be a
This
slave to it either.
this is really good. This particular verse for this context, this is really good. And we're all susceptible, right, to addiction, right? We're all susceptible to forming habits that are detrimental, that are not productive, uh, and and consuming news can be a destructive addiction, right? And especially, I mean, that's what they're counting on, right? That's
Mhm.
what social media is counting on. The news cycle has shrunk down to like 30 seconds, right? And it's like next headline. It used to be,
Right.
something would happen, you'd find out a week later and they'd report on it. No, then you talk about it for a week, and then the following week you get right. Now it's by the second. And that, I mean, that's, views and clicks equal money for the
Mhm.
companies. And
Right.
so I've made habits of going on fasts, or intentionally, I don't need to know what's going on today, I'm going to take a day off, right? And those, and
Mhm.
just to pull yourself away. But this particular verse, uh they themselves are slaves of corruption, for by what
Right.
anyone is overcome, by this he is enslaved. And that is an explanation as to how these powerful elites can remain so corrupt, how our government leaders can sit there and just sit there and uh, kind of exist within a cognitive dissonance. There's you
Mhm.
guaranteed that those pushing destructive narratives and lies, most of them know, right? Or a large percentage of them know that they're pushing false narratives and
Yeah.
diminishing the importance of it, because their pockets are getting lined, right? They're in a position of power. It's this intoxication. Like, think about a senator, a US senator.
Mhm.
You are one of 100 people. There's only 100 US senators at any given moment. That is an elite status, and that's intoxicating power, right or left. That's the explanation of Mitch McConnell, right? The
Right.
explanation
Yeah.
of Mitch McConnell's behavior, that corruption, is his position as the leader of half of those 100 people that are elites, right? And it's like that
And
guy's
on that note, RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., recently made a great point. He was talking about this massive spending on Ukraine, this Ukraine bill that was just approved. It will not go through the House, I highly doubt it, but RFK was mentioning that Mitch McConnell was asked about it, and he blatantly said the quiet part out loud. He was like, "Oh well, this war might end, but then we have to spend money to rebuild Ukraine."
it's about
So,
the flow of
you know,
money, right? Cutting off that pipeline.
all
It's
those defense contracts to help rebuild Ukraine. It's like we're spending billions of dollars on foreign
BlackRock.
countries, yet we can't do a thing about our own border. And meanwhile, in other news, Texas still absolutely refuses to bend the knee to the feds. So, anyways, a little side bit there.
Hallelujah, right? The good news. All right. Time is up. We're over time. We got to go. Good to see you, Ben.
All right. So, Patriots, here's the thing. At the end of the day, it can be nauseating. That's a good word to navigate these rough seas of news. It can be scary, it can be intimidating, but at the end of the day, use those practical skills we showed you. See it from all perspectives, get what you need to know, but then step away. Walk away and focus on what really matters, the truth. All right.
Amen.
Patriots, thank you so much for coming on. Michael, it's great seeing you again. And never surrender, never submit. Michael, I'll let you have the last word.
Love you, brother. And remember, everyone, God's not surprised by any of this. God is in control.
Absolutely. Take care, Patriots.